Okay, so we're starting the group discussion here. We're gonna first be with the two questions about the Jericho to Rafta Medusa and also the Edward Hopper paintings. After watching the video and hearing the story behind the painting, why do you think that Ari sent the book about the painting to Dante? I think that is because they both want to share the strong meaning of the painting that is also historical. I also think that is because it was because they wanted to experience the same feeling of the dark meaning of the painting. What do you think, Daniela?
I agree with you because I think like Ari can like represent himself with that painting because he kind of like thinks like the meaning of it, and I think like he wanted to share with Dante because Dante has shared a lot of things with him.
Agree, Gabriel. What do you think?
What was the question again?
After watching the video and hearing the story behind the painting, why do you think that Ari sent the book about the painting to Dante?
I really think it's about. It really is because these paintings remind Ari of himself. Like Ari thinks he relates to these paintings and Dante also, and to create like a special memory.
Well, and I think Ari sent the book to Dante because the nature of their relationship is kind of dark and deep. Like they talk mostly about these things, these deep things, and it just seems something they should share to each other.
Okay, I don't really agree to Kanita, but we need to proceed with the discussion. So the second question is, what made it so relatable to both of them, and who do you think it was more relevant and why? I think it was more relevant to Ari since he liked these dark things, these things that is sadness and lonely, and then you can see that it has this spiced up, and also, but maybe it also meant a lot to Dante since it's something that Ari likes a lot, and also we know that Dante has this part of him that he doesn't really show to people that is kind of dark also. So that's what I think. You, Daniela?
I also agree with you because the painting like seems like really similar to Ari's personality and what he has told us in the book. And like for Dante, it's kind of special, like that he shared it with him because he's like really private and he keeps things to himself.
Yes.
I think it's like I agree and disagree to what you said, Charlotte, because Ari, it's not like he likes darkness, like he likes to be sad, but he experiences it more, so it's more relevant to him.
You, Gabriel?
I really think as well. In my opinion, it kind of relates more to Dante because in the book we can see that Dante gives everything to put a smile on other people's face, and even though to Ari, and I really think it, in my opinion, it relates more to Dante.
Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the Edward Hopkins painting. Why do you think Dante thought Ari would like painting of this style? Particularly me, I think that of course Ari experienced a lot this loneliness, and since the artist represents a lot of that, since he's known as the artist of since he knows as the artist of loneliness, I think that is because that Dante would think that Ari will relate a lot with himself, the paintings. What do you think?
I think that like Ari and Dante can both relate to the painting since they had shared in the book that they both don't have friends and like Dante is Ari's only friend and the same. So I think like he showed it because like they both experienced like the same thing.
Then I think Dante thought Ari would like a painting of this style because it's like when Dante described Ari as a chair, he said it was like lonely and all of those words, like negative words. So I think that's why he thought it related to him.
You, Gabriel?
I really think Dante gave that to art because not only because it reminded of him, but also to make Ari reflect on how he is as a person and to, like be more open and uh, be improve himself.
Yes. Okay, so now we're moving on to the questions of the book. Oh, no. Stay on the Edward. Okay. Next question is, how does the narrator in the video says that this style is therapeutic? Therapeutic. Yeah. I think it's because since the paintings are very deep, full with meanings, and I think it's because no, this one I already said. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. Moving to the next question. Knowing Hopper's history and personality, do you see any parallels in him and Ari? Yes, I can see that. Ari is also very discomfortable and sad during the stories, and I feel like he can relate a lot, maybe with Ari, since he passes this vibe of loneliness. You?
Yeah, I think like they show like the personality because they both are like lonely persons, and they kind of represent like that darkness in the paintings that they I think both have.
You, Kanisa?
I think the parallel between the Hopper and Addie is that they both have like a negative point of view of life. Not negative, but a gray point of view, like sadness and loneliness.
You, Gabriel?
I think the same as Carito. They are very, in my opinion, it was like showing a other copy of Ari. Like they have kind the same thoughts, uh, the same way of speaking, and they're like identical. So
Okay. And last question of Hopper is that how does the narrator in the video say that this style is therapeutic? I think it's because since the paintings means a lot of things to them, and especially to the narrator, is because maybe it's important to recognize the sadness, because I think it's also a great emotion that is gonna help you a lot, and maybe that's what she was meaning by therapeutic.
I think that like the meaning she did of like therapeutic was because like he drew like persons like alone sitting a coffee, and I think it's therapeutic because they had like the time to think about stuff and reflect about life.
Okay.
I think it's therapeutic. Yeah, that because it helps us embrace the negative feelings people often repress.
And you, Gabriel?
um, I really feel that it's very important, the feeling of sadness, because even though it's a feeling and many people consider it like bad, at the end of the day, you have to experience it to, you know, live life and experiment something.
Do you relate to Aristotle or Dante? If yes, which one do you relate to more and why? If not, what about these characters is unrelatable? Me in particular, yes, I relate myself a lot to Aristotle. During the novel, he says that things are relatable, and especially when he feels that some people are just very boring and that boys are very different from him.
Yeah, I think I relate to Dante more because opposed from Ari, he has a more positive and happier view on life, a more, how do you say, opposite of negative, a more positive point of view on life. That's more me. I'm not that. I don't think I'm as depressed as Ari is all the time. So.
Yes, I agree with Camilo because like Dante, like even though he's kind of lonely, he has like a better point of view of life, like a happier one, and he doesn't think like that everything is bad.
In my opinion, I relate to both because I think every teenager has like the point of view. Well, most of them has the point of view and the thoughts and the way of thinking of Dante, of Ari, but we also have like this part in ourselves that is childish, positive, and very optimistic, and that's like Dante. So I relate to them both.
Yes. Moving to the next question. How might the book be different if it were told from Dante's point of view instead of Ari's? Would the story be different? Yes, I think it would be more with some happy thoughts. Since we expect a lot of dark thoughts about Ari, but also I think it will be very interesting for us to know more about Dante, especially about his sketchbook, since he hides that a lot from us.
Yeah, exactly. I think it would be a different point of view, mostly because Dante lives in a different environment. For example, his family, they're a more healthier family. They don't have many issues, and they're open and mostly happy. So yeah, I think it would be a happier story without any questions like why can't I understand people, or why don't my parents talk about my brother, or stuff like Addie says.
Okay. What do you think, Danny?
I agree like with Nito, because like Dante, Ari like mentions in the book that like he's like writing stuff in diaries, and like I think like the diary, which is like Ari's, like that book is like that for Dante, and like it would be like different to like see that like Dante's point of view of this story.
I think that it would kind of be like a child book because yeah, as Canita said, Dante doesn't have really like problems in his life. He just has friends. Well, he only has Harry, but he has a healthy relationship with his father, his mother. He doesn't have any like family issues, and like his point of view is very childish. So I think it will be kind of like a child book.
Would someone like to add something about that?
I think Gabriel is right, because with a more positive and a healthier background, for example Dante, it would be a more for a children's book, not like Addie with constant crisis and feelings like of depression.
Um, Before we move to the next question, I think I would like to add that it will not be like a child's book, since we also know that Dante has his parts that he doesn't really show, especially that he's in love with Ari. So I think he will have a lot of thoughts, specific thoughts. It could be actually like, I don't know, physical thoughts about Ari. So I think it will not be a child's book because it will not certainly be a lot of appropriated for a child.
Oh yeah, I agree with that, because oh yeah, of course he has a crush on his best friend, and he's a boy, so maybe that's not an idea that a child would be thinking about.
Exactly. So moving to the next question is, what do you think the author is trying to say about being Mexican American? How is that experience differently from Dante and Aristotle? I feel that he says more that for Dante, because Dante is he always says a lot during the book that he doesn't really feel like a real Mexican, because he says that he doesn't really follow his traditions like Ari.
Yeah, exactly.
Mexican American people often feel ashamed of their background and heritage because in America, Mexicans are often made out to be inferiors or lazy or just plain dumb. So for them, not all of them. For example, Ari, he's traditional, but Dante, he's ashamed of being Mexican and he often denies it. So it gives us a different perspective from both.
Yes, I agree with Canito because like when you're like in Mexican American in the United States, sometimes like people can be kind of racist and mean to you because like they just think like because you're Mexican, like you're like different to them, and how like Canito said like Dante like doesn't really want to show about that, like he's kind of ashamed about being that, but like Ari really doesn't care much about that.
I really think that Dante is not comfortable because not because he's ashamed of his heritage, because he just doesn't like have interest on it, and it makes him quite uncomfortable being Mexican and really not knowing the traditions, or I mean not even know a lot of Spanish. So I think that's why.
Yes, I would also like to add that I think maybe that Dante maybe compares himself a lot with Ari in this question, that is being Mexican. He also say that's a lot to Ari, that he wanted to be a real Mexican like Ari. So
Exactly. I think Dante he's mainly ashamed of his background, but in this special case, Ari is more laid back, and he says his heritage not as something negative like Dante.
yes. Would someone like to add something?
Oh no, I'm good.
Okay. For the last question is, how do characters change through the novel, and what does this say about growing up? I observed a lot that during the book, Ari was changing his thoughts a lot, about people, about persons, especially about Dante. He had a lot of thoughts that he didn't have friends and everyone hated him. And I feel like after Dante left, he started seeing that people actually really like him, and also someone that is not Dante likes him, right? So I think he has got a lot of mature, and he says a lot that he started realizing that people are not the way that he expected it to be.
Yes, exactly, Charlotte. Because I think at the start of the book, Ari was trapped in his thoughts. He was always overthinking and so like, oh, he doesn't like me. Oh, what should I do? But he never released his thoughts. He was trapped in his own mind. But more at the end of the book, he learned to be more open and expressive. For example, with his dad, his relationship became more open, and they accustomed to be more talkative. They tried at least. So I think growing up means being able to learn and reflect on your emotions, and also being able to say, oh, maybe I should talk about this. I need friends, I need family to be open and to not bottle up my feelings.
Yes, exactly like said Camito. Like at the beginning of the book, Ari was like really close to himself, and like he thought like life was really bad, and that he didn't need like anyone in his life to make it better and stuff like that. But when he was like with Dante and they became friends, like Ari started to observe like how he had the relationship with his father and how things would be, and like Ari felt like really like thought about how would it be like if he had the same relationship as Dante did with his father, and like being friends with Dante made him like realize that the life is not always like too bad, and like it also made him like express more his thoughts and like to talk more and be a more open person.
I kind of think as well as Nami. Maturing is also realizing that not life is like life has there's dark stages um where people pass through, but there's also good stages, and Ari learns that life is good and that he should be grateful. He should be grateful of the family he has, because in the book he gets closer to his family and really appreciates this. And I think also Dante matured a lot by making himself more open, not in the way of like confidence, but in emotion, and especially in the emotions that he felt for Ari.
I would also like to add to and also to remind that Ari also changed a lot with his father. He started talking more to his father about how he feels, and and also his father started talking back to him. And I feel like that is also maturing because they started communicating more, and that is very important for Ari.
Exactly. I would like to add to what Charlotte said that maturing is being able to accept your emotions and do something about it. Don't let them rot inside of you, your opinions, your feelings. Instead, to talk about them, to be able to learn how to communicate and to practice and upgrade your social skills. For example, Ari with his dad, he was learning to be more talkative and open.
Exactly. Would someone like to add also to that? Okay, so I think we end our discussion here.